So last time I made a video on Halo 2, I said something along the lines of this. But I finally got in my content burnout rut. Yeah, that wasn't entirely true, but 7 months later, and now I'm back. I hope. I decided to do something simpler and do a SMGs only run. With that being said, what are the rules? I may only use the SMG and the Needler. No melee, grenades, or vehicle weapons. Normal difficulty because I felt like it, I don't know. Before going into this challenge, I thought it was going to be all good and fun, but my god was I wrong. The Master Chief levels were fine, but regardless, let's just get started. The first level was pretty easy and was only made easier because of the abundance of SMGs on Cairo Station. I casually make my way through the level without trouble, watch as this drone is stuck in a falling loop, and make it to the bomb room to deal with the Covenant intruders. Before moving on to the next level, let's watch this masterpiece of a moment. So in normal playthroughs, I usually do the Rex sword skip, but to mix up the content a little bit, I decided to go through the level normally. The courtyard section always takes its sweet time spawning in new waves of enemies, so I was here far longer than I cared for. Trying to kill the hunters was tricky because I didn't want to use my SMG ammo, so I relied on the Needler, but quick side note, the Needler in Halo 2 is ass unless you're dual wielding them, and since I'm not allowed to, I just have to stick it out. Once I did make it out of the courtyard, I beat the rest of this level in typical outskirts fashion. Got in this ghost, and sped to the end of the level.
Thanks for the tank. He never gets me anything.
Oh, I know what the ladies like.
Metropolis starts off pretty simple. I hop in the Warthog here and drive across the bridge, ignoring any and all enemies. Once I made my way through the bridge, I somehow sent this jackal sky high. And while trying to take this goshawk from the marine, I eat shit and have to re-kill the jackal, which didn't yield the same funny result I got last time. Once I got my hands on the goshawk, I gave it to the marine in the next area so they could help me take out the wraiths here. After a couple of minutes, I actually am able to get past the wraiths and move on to the scarab. You know, maybe the marines aren't entirely useless. Also, not sure why this is, but the scarab affects your gravity when you're near it, which which caused this death. When I jumped on the scarab, I only had 180 bullets to work with, so I was hoping that would be more than enough to deal with the pilots and the Elite Ultra, and thankfully, it was. Now, like I foreshadowed in the intro, the Arbiter levels are limited to the Needler and only the Needler, since Arby doesn't encounter humans until his next set of levels. The Needler is such a fun gun, but really only when you're really fuck. The Needler is such a fun gun to use, but when dual wielding got added to Halo, it really messed it up in Halo 2. Halo 3 fixed that issue thankfully, but despite the Needler being absolute ass at killing anything, I did make my way to the Banshees without issue. Sorry, that wasn't right. Now, without issue. Okay, maybe I should try to kill some of the enemies here. But now that I actually made it to the Banshees, I flew to the end of the level.
What is it? That stench. I've smelled it before.
It's taking everything in me right now as I'm currently writing and recording this to just not skip over this level. But why not, might you ask? Because I fucking hate this level. Yes, F word and all, I use the word hate. Hate is strong. But I'm gonna behave and give it a fair chance like all the other levels. Already off to a bad start though, because I got bitch slapped by a flood combat form. And then again when I got to the elevator. While taking the elevator down, I ended up hiding as much as I could because I did a miserable job of keeping my elite brother alive. After a couple minutes passed, I tried to jump down to the door, but messed it up. This room here was a drag and took me far longer than I wanted it to, but oh well. What can you do? Once I made it out of that room, I cut the cables to the station and put it in freefall. And once I made it back down, I ran to catch up with the heretic leader, but was a little too hasty and got cut in half. Eventually, I ended up catching up to the heretic leader and had a much easier time killing him than I expected. Now that I'm playing as Chief again, I have the luxury of using the SMG again. Again. I say again a lot. I really gotta work on my script writing. Woo! Now that I'm playing as Chief, I have the luxury of using the SMG again. I made short work of the Covenant in this first area, then made my way to the bridge.
Dear Sarge, kicking ass in outer space. Wish you were here.
I heard that, jackass.
Once the Covenant were dealt with here, I lowered the bridge, took a ghost from this Marine, then sped past the Covenant to reach this building here. I ran through the jungle, picked up more SMG ammo, and made light work of the honor guards. I gotta stop preemptively saying things. But once they were officially taken care of, I moved on to regret.
I shall light this holy ring, release its cleansing flame, and burn a path into the divine beyond.
Pretty much.
Thankfully, I kept my weapons from the last level, so I didn't have to reacquire them. I nearly avoided death by the hands of this elite. Killed the Covenant in this section, somehow triggered the despawn of the Hunters and Phantom, and I still don't know how I do that, and boarded the gondola.
Unless you're digging a grave back there, you're wasting my time.
After scaring the elite major, I killed both elites and the drones so that way me and my Marine allies could move forward. Once me and my allies took out the jackals and drones in this room, I accidentally made a fatal error in judgment. While I say fatal error in judgment, it was quite me just simply accidentally pushing the LT button. I ran past every Covenant encounter in this area, took another underwater elevator, ran to the next gondola, and when I made it to the Citadel, I made another error in my judgment. Now, like every run of Halo 2, the Regret boss fight is what technically kills the run, since you can only kill him with melee, or grenades if you have a good enough timing. I don't really know how to do the grenade kill method, but it's possible. But regardless, I beat Regret's ass and watch as Chief takes a leap of faith. Alright, now I can play the better Arbiter levels. In no time I find a Needler, head down to the elevator shafts, run to the gondola, and completely bypass fighting this Enforcer by activating the gondola. Unfortunately, the same can't be said for the other one. I poured a lot of ammo into trying to kill this thing. Thankfully, there are human flood combat forms in this mission, so I was able to get an SMG and continue forth. Not much happened until I got to the last firefight section and held my ground with the shipmaster. After a couple minutes, we cleared out the flood and the level is finished.
We shall cut into the heart of this infestation, retrieve the icon, and burn any flood that stand in our way. The parasite is not to be trifled with. I hope you know what you're doing.
Like most runs of this level, it typically goes pretty quick because I just pop in a ghost and speed past everything. All was going well until a rocket flood decided to use its aimbot on me. Despite that little setback, I continued to run past everything and made it to the gondola. There is one good thing about this level, the Kneeler as the starting weapon. The first room was very easy, but was just a little slow. Once I made it out though, I booked it to the room that holds all the Marines prisoner. I ricocheted a Jackal's exploding body and got a double kill somehow. Freed the first group of Marines, then got executed. Then stuck. And eventually released the second group of Marines. I made my way up the elevator shaft and ran past as many Covenant encounters as I could to save up the ammo because I knew what was coming up ahead. While running to the mausoleum of the Arbiter, I watched as an elite got murdered in cold blood and successfully got inside. I hid away and tried to let the brutes, elites, and hunters all take each other out, and I would finish off the stragglers. Unfortunately, that didn't really go as planned, and I ended up dying because of my refusal to take cover. And thanks to my carelessness, I got to go all the way back to the elevator shaft where me and the Marines came up, since I didn't think to stop and get a checkpoint while running past everything. Eventually, I did make my way back to the mausoleum and made sure to be way more careful. My main priority was to kill the elite ultras, that way the brutes would have a chance to kill the hunters. I triggered Cortana's dialogue about Johnson and Miranda, and just like that, the level was over. Alright, that was a great start to the level. There is quite literally nothing to talk about in this level because I ran past everything and never even picked up a needler or an SMG for that matter. Let's just move on to the next one. This level was actually very much the same as the last, only difference being that I died a few times in this one. But like the last one, I never picked up an SMG or a needler and beat this level in no time.
I must get inside. Then mount up, Arbiter. I know a way to break those doors.
Alright, this level was the doozy. In the intro, like I mentioned, it was all fun and games or whatever the hell I said. This was the level that kinda took everything off track. So to start, I did not have either one of my required weapons, and second, I had no idea how to get past these brutes and wraiths because I had no way to fight back. I decided to go back and force Shipmaster to get near the brutes and take over in the wraith, and while doing that I got to listen to this the entire time. And by the time we made it there, the brutes and wraiths despawned, so it saved me that trouble. I ran past a lot of the enemy encounters until I made it to this room here where the brutes had some elites and hunters locked up. That's my eyes, ow, 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 ow. Once I freed them, I then killed the brutes that were outside and the cutscene played. And once that cutscene was over, I then had a very awful time trying to destroy the 3 wraiths here that are holding Johnson back. I tried many things to destroy the wraiths myself, but almost nothing worked. Johnson was able to destroy 2 wraiths at most, but it was the last one that gave us the most issues. I tried forcing Shipmaster to deal with it, but he was a coward and always ran back to cover. I tried redirecting the wraith so Johnson was able to hit it, but that never worked because Johnson refused to shoot while I was around and the wraith always ended up going back to its original spot. I tried collecting as much needler ammo as I could find and unloaded as many needles as I could into the door to kill the driver, but that never worked because the needles would bounce off the wraith and never did a meaningful amount of damage anyway. That's a run-on sentence. Holy shit. And while trying to collect the ammo, I made a stupid mistake by trying to move this Covenant ammo crate. Even after trying all these strategies, none of them worked. What especially didn't help was that even if I slightly bumped into the wraith at a weird angle, it would end up killing me without fail. So after wasting an hour of my time, I decided that, yeah, while it probably is possible to destroy the wraith with a needler, or get something else or someone else to do it, I decided it wasn't worth my time and I destroyed it with the Banshee. After Johnson finally blew the doors open, I finally made my way down. Unsuccessfully, I should have added. Second time around, I did make it down safely and caught up with Tartar Sauce. I kept my distance from him and shot him with my needler whenever I was given the chance, and after a few super combines, he went down and the challenge was over. After a 7-8 month hiatus, this challenge being the first one I completed actually feels pretty good. While it was technically a fail, it was fun nonetheless. Just because some challenges aren't possible doesn't mean that they're not worth uploading. I'm glad to be back at it, and I hope you all enjoyed the video. As always, feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. God loves you. Have a good day.